Sandro Tonali. I feel like he's a player that every Milan fan loves. He's a player that every Milan fan appreciates, adores. They can't wait to see him back in a black and red Milan shirt. And maybe, just maybe, it will be happening sooner than you think. Now, as of late, he done an interview with La Repubblica. And he spoke about many things, but there were a few things that he said, a few things that he mentioned that tell me maybe, just maybe, this summer might be the summer where Sandro Tonali returns to a league where I feel like he's got unfinished business. He returns to a club that he calls home, a club that he loves, a club that in 2021 he took a wage cut just in order to stay. What does that tell you about the player? What does that tell you about how much he loves the club, how much he loves the fans? He also came out and said so many people chase money, the ambition of winning trophies. But for me, I want to stay at a club where I feel like it's home. And I'm happy here. And I will achieve all my goals at Milan. Now, these were Sandro Tonali's words in 2021 when he took a wage cut in order to stay at Milan whilst also declining high money offers across the world. Fast forward, £8 million move to Newcastle. It came at a period where Milan needed the money. Let's be honest, Milan needed the money. They used the money to strengthen their squad. It came at the perfect time, but let's just say it wasn't the player they truly wanted to let go of. But when finances require addressing, you have to let go of some of your best, of some of your most adored of players. But let's just look at the interview that he done with La Repubblica. Now, the first question he was asked was the suspension decisive? In the first 2 months, I was detached from everyone. Then, as I returned to life, training every day without playing matches, I realised I was paying for what I had done. Now, what happened with Sandro Tonali, it was unfortunate, but I feel like sometimes in life, you need these things to happen in order to learn from your mistakes, in order to learn where and how you went wrong, and what your purpose, what your end goal should be, what your objective should be as a footballer, as a role model, as an Italian international, as a player representing Milan, as a player representing Newcastle. I feel like as a footballer, sometimes footballers take their life for granted. They take their profession for granted. So many people are sat across the world wishing they could be footballers, wishing they could earn the money of footballers, if not just a quarter, 1/8 of what footballers earn. But I feel like what Sandro Tonali went through, it really helped him, number one, mature as a player, mature as an adult. But secondly, it's put that fire in his belly that maybe, just maybe, he lost as soon as he left Milan. Now, it was crystal clear. He never wanted to leave Milan. You could even see in the videos at the Newcastle presentation, he looked unhappy. He was comparing the training ground to the one in Milan. He was a player that never wanted to leave, but he understood it was best for him to leave in order for the greater good, for Milan, for their recruitment, for their redevelopment. But the ban, the suspension, being away from football, constantly being under the spotlight, being criticised left, right and centre, I feel like now it's put the fire in his belly. And I genuinely feel like if he was ever to make the return to Milan, as much as he done well with his first stint, you are going to see an animal reborn, a wounded animal that's come back to the Serie A with a point to prove. Now, this is the question that I feel like every Milan fan is looking forward to. Do you often think about the past? I've thought about when I could have joined Inter. I never accepted it. Not because they aren't a strong team, but because I didn't feel 100% happy. It was talked about every day. I would speak to my agent and the doubts were huge. It felt like a mountain I didn't want to climb. Now, there was a period while Sandro Tonali was at Brescia that an offer came in from Inter Milan for Sandro Tonali. They saw the talent, they saw the promise, they saw the potential, and they told themselves, this is a player that we want on our books. This is a player that we want playing at the San Siro, but in a blue and black top, not in a red and black. And I feel like Sandro Tonali, being a Milan fan, understanding what it means to represent Milan, knowing that deep down this is a club I want to represent, he turned it down. But is it an opportunity that he regrets? No, not at all. Sandro Tonali then proceeds to say, Paolo Maldini's call changed everything. It made me happy. And I said, either I go to Milan or I stay at Brescia. My dad passed down this bond with Milan to me. I used to have breakfast with Gattuso's red and black mug. And when it broke, I forced my mum to fix it piece by piece. When the transfer happened, I asked Reno for permission to wear his number 8 shirt. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about Sandro Tonali? What does that tell you about the bond, the love that he has for Milan? The fact that a mug broke and he was sat forcing his mum to fix it piece by piece, sticking it with, I don't know, super glue. The fact that he adored these Milan players. The fact that even after some of these Milan players had retired and moved on, he would still be in contact, asking them if I could have the honour, the pleasure to wear your shirt and step on a field that you once stepped in. Step in your footsteps. Lead by your example. Take Milan back to a stage, to a level that you once played at. It tells me a lot about Sandro Tonali. And there's a reason why I started off this video by saying he genuinely looks like a player that has unfinished business in this area. He has unfinished business with Milan. And I feel like as of late, I've been seeing a lot of rumours of clubs all over the Serie A looking at him at Newcastle. The fact that they are under some FFP, PSR restrictions and they're looking to sell some players and cash in. And Sandro Tonali's name is the one that gets mentioned on a regular basis. Teams in the Serie A are looking at him. He's still young, with a lot of promise, with a lot of potential, with a lot of growth. An Italian international. A staple in that team. Somebody that I feel like walks into every team in the Serie A. And he's a player that you can definitely mould and build your midfield around. But I'm seeing so many teams linked with him. But I keep sitting down telling myself, after that interview, if he was to ever leave Newcastle, there's only one club on his mind. Regardless of the money, because he's already shown, I don't care about the wages. I don't care about the lifestyle that you can offer me. I don't care about whatever assurance you can guarantee me. The only thing that I care about is Milan. The only thing that I care about is stepping out on the San Siro pitch, wearing a red and black Milan top and taking them back to where they belong. And the final question that Sandro Tonali was asked is one which paints a great picture in my mind, and I feel like it will definitely paint a greater picture in a lot of Milan fans' minds, because you could see the growth, you could see the development, you could see the maturity. And the question was, who is Sandro Tonali in his second life? Now, this is a player that's reborn. This is a player that's been through the tough times, come out on top. And this is a player now with fire in his belly. And he answers, someone who can talk to everyone, to those who need help and those who don't. A more available and generous person, no longer just on the pitch. It tells you, as a man, he's grown. And I feel like that's the most important thing, because so many times we sit down and say, this player needs to mature when we're talking about decision making or the way they behave on the pitch. If you're immature on the pitch, I can guarantee you you're immature off the pitch. And I feel like with Sandro Tonali, you could see, as much as he was a quiet but fiery figure on the football pitch, he made the wrong decisions outside. And I feel like now he knows, regardless of how I perform on the pitch, whether I score the goals, whether I get the assists, every single small detail of my life is now going to be micro-analyzed. Every single small detail of my life, people will be watching. And some of these people might be learning from it. Don't get me wrong, I got haters that are waiting for me to drop, waiting for me to make a mistake, but at the same time, I've got people watching every small detail of my life and looking at it as inspiration, because I am their role model for so many different reasons. Maybe you're their role model because they love you as a footballer. They love your character on the pitch. They love what you represent. They love the fact that you play for Milan. I feel like now he's learned that behind every action, there's either a consequence or there's a good reward. And I feel like now he knows, as a footballer, I need to carry myself correctly. I need to behave in the right manner. I need to try and keep myself away from the spotlight, because being under the spotlight is not the best of things in football. And I feel like he's definitely now experienced that in probably one of the most toxic of places, the UK. But I will forever say he is a player that has unfinished business in an AC Milan top.